Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways, pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom. This is about Aaron from the Jamaica camp. Come with another quick lesson, and this precept is based upon a few scriptures in the Psalms, which actually applies to the heathen, being punished, as well as the unbelievers of our people, or the rebels of our people, to be punished, right? And the understanding that I actually got from the scripture is based on what was said here in Acts chapter 24. And just gonna break this down real quickly. Hopefully you find this edifying, and let's get straight to it. So this is Acts 4, and I'll start at verse 25. Now this is after the apostles, the disciples who turned apostles were threatened by the high priest not to speak in the name of Yahushua anymore. Right? Verse 25 says, right, let me start verse 24. Right, it says, and when they heard that, they lifted up their voice to the Most High with one accord and said, Yahweh, thou art the Most High, which had made heaven and earth and the sea and all that in them is. Verse 25 says, who by the mouth of thy servant David had said, why did the heathen rage and the people imagine vain things? The kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against Yahweh and against his anointed. All right. So that is a quote from Psalms, which we're gonna get that, but it just goes to show that it's highlighting two groups. It's actually highlighting the heathen and the people, right? Now let's continue on down. It says verse 27 says, for of a truth against the holy child Yahushai, whom thou hast anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate, who are actually heathen, of the other nations, right, with the Gentiles, which we'll get into that as well, and the people of Israel were gathered together. All right, so it summarizes everything from verse 25 on down to 26, and it highlights the heathen as well as the people, right? It says, for to do whatsoever thy hand and thy counsel determined before to be done. And now, Yahweh, behold their threatenings, and grant unto thy servants that with all boldness they may speak thy word, by stretching forth thine hand to heal, and that signs and wonders may be done by the name of thy holy child Yahushai. So it's basically them praying to the Most High Yahweh, to give them a spirit to glorify Yahushai, right? Or to basically do the signs to his anointed Yahushai, which he had prophesied. So let's focus. Let's take things back a bit, right? So it says, why did the heat? Verse 25 says, who by the mouth of David thy servant has said, why did the heathen rage, and the people imagine vain things? Now let's take a quick look on the word heathen, and let's also look on the word for people, right? So the word heathen there is ethnos, right? Let me check this root real quickly. All right, nothing there. Just wanted a quick look. So ethnos, it says I'll get to the point, which is the third definition, which says a tribe, nation, people, group, right? It says a multitude of individuals of the same nature or genus, right? The human, so those that are of the same gene would be a nation. So it's actually the word nation in its purest form, right? However, there are times in the Old Testament when Paul refers to the Israelite foreigners as Gentiles, as it says, the definition for 5 says, in the Old Testament, foreign nations, well, not foreign nations, they're actually Israelite foreigners, right? Paul uses the term Gentile for Christians, right? So when I went down here, right, in the Thayer's Greek lexicon, and go down to the fifth definition, right? I can select Romans 15 verse 27, right? It says, it had pleased them verily that the debtors and their debtors they are, for if the Gentiles have been made partakers of their spiritual things, their duty is also to minister unto them in carnal things. So it's actually making reference to the Israelite foreigners, right? As it says, for before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles, but when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision, referring to Peter, separating himself from the Israelite foreigners. So there are times in which this word does apply to the Israelite foreigners, but in this case, it refers to Esau and the remainder of the heathen. And how do we know this? Right? By looking on the 27th verse, which we'll get in a moment. But that's the word for heathen. Let's get the word for people. Right? The word people, people group, tribe, nation, those who are of the same stock and language. Now notice, that even though they have similar meanings, the Greek words are different, right? And that is why we are always employed by the Apostle Gabar. All the apostles, but Apostle Gabar harps on it mainly. That we have to look up our words, right? If it was supposed to be give us the same definition or bring off the same message, a different word wouldn't have been used. And that is why in the Apocrypha, the in Sirach, it says that we have to take heed unto the words, because words translated from Hebrew to another language does not have the same force, right? So it's clear that there are two distinctions being made, hence why two separate Greek words were used. And that's the thing with ancient languages. There are specific words to help make it clear as to what is being or who is being referred to, right? So let's go back to the precept. So it says heathen, right? And then you have people. Going down to verse 27, it does explain, right? It says, for of a truth against thy holy child Yahushai, whom thou hast anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate, who were what? Romans. They were heathen, right? With the Gentiles, which also would accompany those that are both of the Israelite foreigners. Some Israelite foreigners was against it, as well as you had actual heathen who were not Romans that were against our people as well. We had enemies round about us that actually joined themselves onto the Romans or made leagues with the Romans, like the Persians, the Egyptians. If you actually look up the history, around that time there were many sects and forces and nations that came up against Jerusalem. Some of them were against the Romans, some were not, some were with the Romans. And if you know the geopolitical situation of that time, then you'd understand that, right? And then it says, and the last line says, and the people of Israel were gathered together, right? So we have the Romans coming up, the heathen coming up, and even the Israelites, people of Israel, who came up against Yahushai, but when he was alive, and even against his apostles or his disciples, when they went forth and started to teach doctrine, they were against it, right? So that is why they told the apostles what? Not to preach anymore in that name. And that is why they prayed to the Most High to give them the spirit to boldly declare, Yahweh Shai, by healing. And as it says in verse 30, it says, by stretching forth thine hand to heal, and that signs and wonders may be done by the name of thy holy child Yahweh Shai. Right? Because they were against Yahweh Shai. Right? And then to help further show the point, right? I'll go to, because you say that nation is in the Old Testament, that it says it would the whole Cornelius thing. Let's show that even there's a different Greek word right there as well, right? So this is Acts 10 verse 28. All right, it says, and he said unto them, ye know how that it's an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation, but God had shewed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Now you say that, hey, there's the word nation again, right? So it's talking about, the Gentiles, or the foreigners, people that are not Israelites. But you're wrong, because the Greek word actually tells us exactly what it is. So here's the Greek word for nation, right? Let's play it.
Strong's G 246. Alophilos. Alophilos.
Now they try to cover the word. They put foreign, right? But if you look on both roots, which the first root is right here, which is another, and the second root word, tribe. In the New Testament, all the persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob. So that is why this is how this word here is used. Also in Genesis it says, the Lord said unto Abraham, say, no, to Israel, that I will make thee a nation and a company of nations. Or I think he said it unto Abraham. Salakia, if I misquoted who he said it to. But he says that what I will make thee a nation and a company of nations. So each tribe is even a nation within themselves, because they came off of a specific lineage, right? So the 12 tribes together is one nation, but even each tribe can also be considered a nation, right? Now let's get some reference from the Old Testament to show that this is as it is, right? Verse, where would I go? All right, let me go Psalms chapter 2, right, which I'll read the scripture that Peter quoted. It says, why, Psalms 2 verse 1, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Because that's exactly what they do when they try to come up against the doctrine, right? So let's focus on verse 1. It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Let's see if it's the same thing with the Hebrew. So the word heathen there is gawaya, right, which is the Hebrew word for nations would be gawayam, right, the yam making it plural, as it says nation. Now let's look on A, where it says nation of people, and the first definition says usually of non-Hebrew people, right? Now you say, how is it that you know that why don't you attribute that to Israelite foreigners? Now it says apparently from the same root, right, a foreign nation, hence a Gentile, right? Heathen, nation, people. So even in its widest sense, of course, Israel is a nation, so you can apply it to the descendants of Abraham. Yes, you can apply it onto Israel, but in the scriptures, this Gawayab is mainly attributed unto heathen, right? Now let's look on the word people, right? So it says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing, right? And the Hebrew word there is laham, salakia, lahama, right? People, nation. It says, as you go down here, it says, from an unused root or meaning together, a community, right? So it says a nation of people, right? But as you know, this is the same precept that Peter quoted, and he applied the heathen part as unto Pilate and Herod, which were heathen, and the Gentiles, right? The non-Hebrew Israelite people, or the non-Hebrew people. And then he said the people of Israel, which would apply to the actual people. So the heathen would apply to non-Israelites. The people in the sentence, right, the second half, where it says the people imagine a vain thing, applies onto the Israelites, whether it be Israelite foreigners or not, right? Now well, whether it be Israelite foreigners, lucky, let me get it, whether it be Israelite foreigners or whether it be straight up Israelites, right? And there are times also in the in the Old Testament, where the Most High does refer to the Israelite foreigners as Nakar, non-Israelites, but the reason why it's in that context is because our people actually went off and literally behaving like a heathen, right? So it was done in regards to the curses and the and applied onto insults. But generally, when we are referring to even with Hebrew words distinguishing between heathen people and heathen non-Israelites and Israelite foreigners, there's usually gar and nakar to help distinguish. So within the language, the words are used specifically for a certain reason, right? To ensure that whatever has been spoken about is clear. Now let's go to Psalms 149. Right? Should have it in the history. Don't have to search again. Where are we? Psalms 149 and verse 7, right? It says to execute. Well, let me start at verse 6. It says, "Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, that they be in the saints, who are actually Israelites, those that overcome, and return unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushua in sincerity and truth, and receive that salvation." Right? So it says, "Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand." To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. So there you go again, right? Vengeance upon the heathen, punishments upon the people, right? Now let's look on the word. Let's view the words. So there again for heathen you have gawai or gawaya, right? Then you have for people the same word lahama, right? But let's look on two key words. Let's look on the words vengeance and let's look on the word punishments, right? The word vengeance is from the Hebrew nakwama, right? Vengeance, and it says vengeance by God, by Israel, by enemies of Israel. So it's basically vengeance being thrown. Now, why would we need to have vengeance on the heathen? Because they are the ones that actually pulled did a great deal on us. They are the ones that actually spoiled us. So in that case, it would be vengeance, right? That would be the bad blood right there, right? And the Most High is gonna actually let us have vengeance on the heathen, right? Now you're saying, all right, so what about punishments? Now it says vengeance upon the heathen, which is another distinction, and then it says and punishments upon the people, which is another distinction. So for one, you'll be getting vengeance, which is the heathen, the non-Israelites, and then you have punishments upon the people, which are the Israelites. Let's look on the word punishment, right? The word punishment is tawak, tawakkah, right? And what do you see right here? Rebuke, correction, reproof, chastisement, right? Argument, reproof, right? Correction, rebuke. Did not the Lord Yahweh say that he would actually correct his people, will reprove his people, punish his people for their iniquities? And that's the thing, these unbelievers, they will not enter into the Lord's rest. They will be punished, and then they will come back in the kingdom, after by through the elect. So the unbelievers, the 2/3, they will be punished. They will be corrected through death, right? So one set of people will be corrected, which the Israelites are the ones that actually are the sons of the Most High. As a matter of fact, a precept actually came to mind. Let me get it, right? Hold on. Whoop. Where am I? Right. Amos Where is Amos 3 and 1, it says, hear this word that Yahweh had spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up out of the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish, see the same word punish there, you for all your iniquities. Let's see what the word punished is there. Well, it's a different word, right? To punish, to visit, to reckon. So it's a different variation of the word. It says to charge. So a different word, right? But nonetheless, they are the ones who will be punished, right? For their iniquities. Now, let's go to Revelation chapter 2, right? Which actually quotes Psalms 149. Right? This is no, it's not Psalms 149. It actually quotes Psalms chapter 2 in the last part, right? So I'll start at Revelation 2 verse 25. Says, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. So let's look up the word nations here. And as you can see, nations, there's ethnos, right? So the saints, as it says, the saints will execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people, right? As the Lord said, bring those mine enemies, he that would not have me reign over them, bring hither and slay here before me. Because even in that scripture in Luke, it was referring to Israelites who did not want to accept Yahweh Shai, right? But this is applied unto the heathen, right, who will actually exercise power over, and will actually punish, not punish, but will have vengeance upon them, right? Which in a sense is a form of punishment, but vengeance makes it clear as in what the actual feud is about, right? So one is about getting our people back on track with Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, right, which would be the punishment and the correction, and then you'd have the vengeance, which is basically balancing the scales between us and the heathen, right? Because ultimately that's what's going to happen in the hour of temptation. That's going to happen when Yahweh Shai returns. He's coming back to. As a matter of fact, let me close out on that in Revelation, right? Now this is Revelation 22 verse 11. It says, he that is just, let him be he that is unjust, let him be unjust still. He which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. And that's the thing, right? He's coming back to reward everyone. So the heathen is gonna get they're gonna get their reward. The unbelievers of our people are gonna get their reward, and the righteous of our people are gonna get their reward, right? So the distinction is all about the Yahweh Shai's return, right? It's all about Yahweh Shai's return and what each person is gonna get in the end. So we know what the saints are gonna get, we know what the unbelievers are gonna get, and we know what the heathen are gonna get, and that's all according to prophecy. All right. So with that, hope that this was edifying. Once more, to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom.